My name is Wendy Pedersen. I'm living and working in the downtown east side of Vancouver, and I'm with the SRO Collaborative Society. So our mission is to preserve the SROs. Those are the single room occupancy hotels that are privately owned. And our goal is to do that by giving tenants a voice. So we're in a big challenge right now in Vancouver with these hotels. There are 4,500 single rooms with very low income people living in them in about 100 buildings. So the tenants that are living in those buildings are virtually all living on fixed incomes. So very, very low incomes. About a third self-identified to us in a study that we did of 300 rooms, about a third self-identified as Indigenous, and many, many tenants have multiple health issues. These buildings that they live in, these single rooms, they don't have their own bathroom, they don't have their own kitchens. These buildings are very old, almost 100 years old. They're past their prime, and the landlords, they don't pay for upgrades without significantly increasing the rents. And there's no rental protection. The rent control is weak. So tenants are often paying more than 50% or even 100% of their total income on rent. And in Vancouver, these rooms are the last stop before homelessness. So the goal of our project that the tenant-based initiatives funded is to preserve these 4,500 rooms so that tenants don't become homeless. Well, how are we going to do that? So step one, we're going to be organizing with the tenants. And our goal is to lead tenants in those buildings to organize their neighbors. So they will form building committees that will take a non-legal approach and a collective approach to solving common problems with their landlords, starting off with easy stuff, moving into more challenging problems. So our goal is also to educate tenants. So we will have an SRO degree that they will go through and learn about their tenant rights, how to write letters to landlords, good communication skills with their landlords, and other kinds of workshops on repairs, repair advocacy, eviction prevention. We also have a newsletter that tenants will be involved in writing and distributing. We're also going to introduce peer-led employment into these buildings. We already do one project called the Tenant Overdose Response Organizer Project that we've been doing for 3 years. We're in our 4th year now. We're going to introduce this Better at Home light housekeeping, where seniors in the building, tenants can be hired to do light housekeeping for seniors in their own building. And we have another program called Indigenous Reconnections, where people can get connected to cultural activities and other supports. The main thing we're going to be doing, though, to secure these buildings is we're going to be luring landlords into housing agreements. How are we going to do that? Well, there was an old program in the 80s and 90s, a federal program where landlords got forgivable loans to renovate their buildings in exchange for freezing their rents for 15 years. So we want that program reestablished again. And we believe the combination of light pressure and improved communication with landlords and tenants, bringing people together to talk through common problems, can help us get into these conversations with landlords and get them in the door to help us have these conversations with senior governments to get this program reinstated. Our main innovation of that program that we want is we want the new housing agreement. If we can achieve these housing agreements in these privately owned SROs, what we want is the tenant committee, the building committee, the group of tenants to be embedded into that agreement so they can continue to organize, to monitor an investment that senior governments may be making into the improvement of these buildings. So the last thing we're going to do is work on documenting our journey and documenting this experiment. And we're working with researchers at Queen's University to document and evaluate our learnings. And that's our project.
Maybe could you say a quick word about your application process at the center? Any comments or suggestions that you may have about that?
We received seamless support from the center in terms of accessing the grant, support to make our application, and very quick turnaround in terms of getting our funds. I'm really excited to be in touch with Stefan and others because they're going to have a bird's eye view of what's happening across Canada. And I want to be knowing what other tenant activities are that are happening across Canada. The SRO Collaborative wants to learn from that and bring our learnings to other places as well. So I think that's the best part about working with tenant-based initiatives.
Thank you.